Okay, good evening and Jai Hind everyone. I'm audible?
Jain sir.
Jain sir, yes sir, you're audible.
Okay. uh, Today's session is probably important from the perspective that almost all of you are heading for SSB and some kind of mental tuning is the aim. You can call it rehearsal, you can call it something like an approach you need to develop just before going for that SSB, even if you are a repeater. You need to again reorient and have a fresh approach. We had Sunday a session, day session, and that will be at the backdrop. That will be the premise. The base today's discussion will be based. Brief introduction, which we had that day. There were some constraints, so because of that, we could not relay it or we could not give it as it is, but let's reproduce the crux of it. The first introduction, what we learned that day, it is actually repetition, but in a different format. There are couple of points which you must understand before heading for SSB. Today's format will be I will give introduction, then we will listen to each participant of that day, and the overall aim is rehearsal for participants, and second is outstation or the students who could not come that day join the session. They get an opportunity to understand what was the takeaway on that day, because a very important thing which I feel personally, that a student when gets some kind of tips, every time that student realizes and compares, first compares that he or she was thinking like this, and there is some correction with that new point. That is the ever continuing thing which should be putting you just on that right path. So if that is so, let's reorient ourselves from that perspective. How an ex-GTO guides you, how individual based, yes, that is always uh, an angle to it. There is always an angle of personality, but there are few things which are common. So let's discuss the common things. The first introduction that day we had a few points, guiding tips, five major areas what was highlighted. Any individual going to SSB is designed in a such a way that your personality is screened and personality is tested. So when the personality is at question or is under test, so that individual personality's past is very important. So in that past, you can have your academic past, your social past, your own achievements. Everything is relevant, and that is why when you write your PIQ, you appear there. There is some correlation. You need to understand yourself that when I am behaving like this, I am conveying, because you gave in SDT and in PIQ, you are now conveying them. I am like this, and the board is trying to match that. And after all, through your performances, there is some evaluation, there is some message to the board. So your past, unless and until you introspect your past, there are some mistakes, there are some strengths, there are some weaknesses. You need to really understand about yourself so that you can correct it. So briefly, that first point which that day sir had highlighted, and in other terms we keep discussing it. Second is about knowledge. We keep saying knowledge is power. So knowledge is power, how it is applied in SSB or in any exam. See, The first thing, you are pitching yourself for a class 1 level post, an officer like personality. So knowledge is always going to be tested, whether it is lecturate when you are displaying that through content and the confidence, whether it is group discussion. That day's group discussion, I will try and put it on the platform, because that was a spontaneous group discussion with chest numbers, and I enjoyed from outside. So I will try and get it. I don't know how audio will come. It is with Aditya. So whether it is group discussion, whether it is lecturate, whether it is even your body language, and more so in interview, and more than that, everywhere we generally fail to understand that when you are responding in psychological test, your knowledge will play the amount of exposure you had in your life. Let's take two students case. One student is not really exposed to the outer world. He is theoretical, or she is theoretically well aware, average, bookish. But there is another student who has got a lot of experience in practical life, struggles, good and bad experiences both, and a person is well read in the sense, at your age, well read means not that so many books you have read. It is about some general knowledge, some happenings around you, society's status, some understanding about the environment around you. So all that thinking mind at your age, corresponding to your age, if it is NDA, CDS, or engineering background, correspondingly that knowledge is expected, and you have to understand that. So knowledge in every test, psychological, GTO, and interview. More importantly in interview, indirectly in psychological tests, because there will be some stimulus. And if, whether it is WAT, SRT, TAT, your knowledge is playing there in indirect sense. So even you need to understand that that is a powerful tool with you. So continuous updating yourself is a key. 2 points we have covered. Third point, power of expression, which we keep discussing, and that is why we have more number of lecturates, more of talking, and that is important. See, you are going to be leader. You must check and push yourself that you need to speak. If you can't speak, the battle is lost. Even before starting, it is lost, and the screening day only. So power of expression at each step of SSB in the entire 5 days is a key performer. It's going to be around that only. Because when you are expressing yourself, you may be having a lot of knowledge, but you are not able to communicate it properly. You're gone. The importance of power of expression is highest in my opinion, and that day it was discussed and highlighted. Okay, and I think I need not to elaborate on it. Fourth important point is which we had noted that day and discussed in detail, the ability to apply yourself in this practical forum. We see 15 OLQs and you are not able to apply, and then you are almost losing the battle. You are reducing your chances. In introduction phase, I am just highlighting the key points. In the end, after the students, I will comment on few examples which I saw that day with case to case, because that is important. So ability to apply yourself involves reasoning ability. You should have logic for everything. An officer or a leader will not do anything which is irrelevant, whether it is giving some point, whether it is writing some response in psychological test, or it is in interview or in PIQ. You cannot be so casual and you wrote some hobby which you are not bothered. You have to have a reasoning ability that you have written something and you mean it. You have spoken something, you mean it. Try and understand it. So this is one of the most important thing, that you should have reasons for everything. And this is in day to day life also. You cannot be casual, you cannot be careless, you have to be meaningful. You have to have a justification for every action of yours. There is no question on that. And if there is a question on your actions and you are clueless, you are heading for troubles. The last point is consistency, and it is in a broad sense. You need to understand that a stable leader, or a leader, has to be stable first. And once the stable leader is there, you have to prove that you are not fluctuating. You are not at times up and second moment you are down. When it is a favorable situation, you are a hero. And when it is unfavorable, you are just a loser. You should be a person who is giving all out, a person who is just having that approach of positivity, irrespective of situations, favorable, non favorable. For example, GTO series, you are comfortable in few, not comfortable in few, and your mindset is tuned to that. In those uncomfortable tests, your body language is so lethargic that you are displaying before starting only, I am not comfortable. I am not going to handle it easily. I am making difficult for myself. So this is that crux which was, as an introduction, was given to all students participants that day. 5 points, I'll repeat. First is your past, in academic sense, social sense, your achievements, some strengths, weaknesses, some kind of experiences will be important. And if you don't recollect your past, you are losing. You must understand your background, entire things, and accordingly you must be playing there. Because when you write which city, state you are coming from, everything, it is all your past. You cannot do much about it. You can correct it, you can show the signs of improvement, you can prove, communicate, sir, I am improving. I was weak in my English, I am improving. I was weak in my communication, I am improving. I was having overweight, I am improving. All those things you need to understand, that whatever is your weakness you are improving, whatever your strengths you are consolidating, and you are evolving. Your past is finished, but you are aware of it. And that is what is the beauty of a leader is. A leader keeps on evolving. A leader never keeps repeating mistakes. That is very important. Okay. Second point, what we discussed, knowledge is power. Third, what we said, power of expression. Fourth, we said ability to apply yourself, reasoning ability kind of thing, justification everywhere. It is logic. And the last one is consistency. How you can endure yourself for 5 days. In those 5 days, it should not be a day very good, another day very bad, and you are swinging your moods. One test gone little horrible and you are gone, you are giving up, you are surrendering, you are withdrawing. These swinging should not happen. And that is why it is kept on 5 days. It's a long process and it means a lot. Okay, so with this brief introduction, let's start. I think Nikita will go first. Nikita?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aim is, I will repeat again, at that day's participants, I want you to come out and say that next time I am going, indirectly I am saying, that meaning should come. Next time, these are my learnings which I am applying now, which can be not only in that session also, it can be something more, your own wisdom. Now you are a thinking type personalities, apply yourself. And in the end, I will then summarize, or there are some points from my side about your performances that day, and which others will also be doing mistake, isn't it? So let's start with Nikita. I will not keep timer or timekeeping kind of thing, or is it required, Nikita?
No, sir, no, sir. I'll finish it in
Okay.
within 5 minutes.
Okay. So we will.
I have just noted few points after session, so I would like to just read it
Okay,
out.
good. It will be a good start. And thereafter, next person can volunteer and put the message. Next, you can just put the sequence. Nikita first, and then you can volunteer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so firstly, talking about psych stories. In psych, we have four tests. One is TAT, VAT, SRT, and SD. So, talking about TAT, the instructions were very clear from the sir that simple and practical stories you have to make. Then, whenever we make stories, we just choose one character and then we write a story. But again, in stories, we have to form some situations. So, in that situation, just don't condemn anyone. This is the main thing you have to keep in mind while writing the stories. Then at the end of the story, don't seek rewards, and overall just write simple and practical story which one means which individual will do in their day to day life. Then talking about VAT, then write sentences from which your quality will be shown. Like don't like factual sentences or proverbs, because your none of the quality will be shown to the assessor. Then SRT, from situation, try to solve it very practically with the effective use of all the resources which will be given in the situation. In situation, it might be happen that there are no resources visible in the situation, but hidden resources are always there. So effective intelligence says that you must use that. And in SD, sir very prominently said that write your strengths, but while writing the weaknesses, write mild weaknesses, not major weaknesses. If you're a short tempered, don't write short tempered you are. Like if you might be having any weakness, so go with that. So mild weaknesses should be there. Then regarding psych part, I understood this part. Then now, if we come to GTO, then in GD, firstly talking about first two tasks are GD. So be firm to your point. Don't repeat anyone else's point. Try to give direction to the point, because it sometimes it happens that if one whatever topic is given, everyone is agreeing to that point only, and only by, repetitive decision will go on. So it is always welcome to give the direction to the another group. And if you even if you give a direction to other group, and for next 1 minute that discussion goes, then you have upper hand in GD. Then next is don't condemn anyone else's point, because always remember that it's a discussion and not a debate. So you should always welcome everyone's point of view. Then talking about GPE, then solve with practicality, use maximum possible resources, and prioritize all the problems in well manner. That wherever danger is more, you should prioritize that problem first. Now, then talking about PGT, HGT, and command task. So, first is be active member, don't be a passive member. If not getting idea, that's fine. Involve yourself in the group, like placing fatta, balli, tying rope, do everything, whatever you want to do, but just be involved in the group. And don't say it won't work at all. Be polite in explaining why that idea will not work. And in command task, uh, call the group members who were good in PGT and HGT. It will give a good impression on the assessor. Now talking about lecture rate, so be confident, and sir always repetitively said that knowledge is the power, and also sir said so have good GK, because only with the help of GK you will be able to deliver the good lecture rate. Then lastly, talking about FGT, so there I asked one question to the sir that in PGT, sorry, in FGT, just GTO give very one formal sentence that those who haven't performed yet, it is last chance for them to give their best. So this is last chance you have to perform. So those who haven't performed in their PGT, HGT, or command task, they all of a sudden get charged up and they participate in the FGT. So it is completely contradict to their personality. And those who have participated actively in PGT, HGT, and command task, they hold themselves somewhat hold themselves back. So it is contradictory to their personality. So don't do that. Be the person who you were in PGT, HGT, and command task. Then talking about it's all about GTO. Then talking about interview. So first is be honest. Some kind of manipulation is okay. Then have answers for every why, because it will show your reasoning ability. Then think about all type of incidences with your family, friends, teachers pre-handed, because you all know that the experiences they usually ask about it. So you should be aware of it pre-handed. Then always remember that think before you speak. Try to understand why this question has been asked to you and then answer accordingly. Our answer decides our interview, so we have to be careful. Then next is you have to show your best side. Then good reasoning ability means, can we understand the instructions? Can we adapt to any given situation then and there? Then can we convince with proper reasons? Can we remember CIQ and then answer it in the same manner, etc. All these things comes under the reasoning ability. And lastly, PIQ. Just make sure that whatever word you write in the PIQ, na, every word counts. So just be careful while filling up your PIQ. If you are writing any of your hobby, just make sure that you are completely aware of that thing, because any of the question can be asked. I still remember I wrote in my attempts that playing ukulele is my hobby. So interviewer asked me that what is the where was the origin of ukulele. So just be prepared whatever word you write in PIQ. So overall, I would like to say that what I learned is, now I would like to say that what mistakes I were making in my previous attempts. In I think my psychology was up to the mark. In GTO, especially in PGT, I used to hold myself back, and that is not my personality. I'm a person who always initiate, who takes part. So there I used to hold myself back. So I think that was the mistake I was doing, and now in my coming attempt, I'll be participating actively and I will not be a passive member. And in interview, mistake which I was making, that I used to get carried away while giving the interview. So this time I'll be very specific, I'll be a little bit manipulative, and I'll think before I'll speak. So overall, basically, sir said that be consistent. It should not be like you have done well in your psych, and in GTO you, if even if in one task you were not able to do good, so rest of the tasks you lose your morale, lose your confidence. So that should not be a case. So be consistent in each and every task, because what matters is not your performance in individual tasks, but your overall performance in the SSB. Even if it is average, it will be fine. Second would be listen and then speak, and third would be confident. That's it.
Okay, good, Nikita. I think summarized it very well. Gave a lot of points in a quick run. Now next is Ritik.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can go ahead. Try and finish in 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So, good evening, everyone. That day at SPI, we had a good introduction. But for those who were absent or who couldn't be there, I'll give a short introduction of myself. I'm Ritik Badagi. I'm from Nashik. I've completed my B in Mechanical Engineering, and I'm a fresher for an SSB attempt this time. So, coming to that day, Sir has already briefed us that what were the sequences of activities that happened that day, and Nikita also gave us a bit better detail about all the activities. Now, I'll just share what are the takeaways that I brought with myself to Nashik. So I'll start with the activities. So in the start, sir just briefed us about what actually is SSB, and I actually was aware. I had read about SSB, but then I got to know his own opinion about what SSB is. And what I learned was that never anticipate anything as difficult unless and until you know it thoroughly and properly. And then we headed over to GD, and we had a good discussion. Also, after the whole process was done, sir also reviewed me as that I was slow in GD. So what was my takeaway was that be fast and be start first and start strong. So that was my learning. I might have started the GD, or I might have given good strong points in the GD. Also, he told us that give such points that will change the course of the discussion, and then and there you win the battle. So that was about GD. Also in GD, just try to seek a balance between how much you say and how much you don't say. So just don't overdo it and don't underdo it. Be a balanced person while saying and sharing your opinions. So that was about GD. Coming to GTO, I was not actually comfortable, or rather, I must say, I was doing it for the first time. I was seeing it for the first time, and that's why I couldn't just participate in it. But what sir told me was that even if you don't get ideas, of course this doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for getting ideas, you must. But in the worst case, if you don't get the ideas, just try to be active, just try to participate, just try to do anything and everything that is possible by you. So that is what was my takeaway. Then coming to psych, sir did told us that you should be a, of course, a well-read person, so that when any word, for example in tat, any word, sorry, VAT, any word when comes before you, a stimulus is given to your brain, whatever you have read uh, recently or anytime, you come up with those sentences, and the quality of those sentences told that tell that what have you read or what type of a person you are. So that was about that. Also, just let me recall it. Mm. Also, sir told me that your past matters a lot, and your academic record also holds a higher weightage. So he told that, of course, you can't change your past, but you can justify it very well. And that was it. These were the takeaways for me. And if anyone tells me to condense my takeaway in a single word, that would be the word balance. Always try to seek a balance between what you do and what you do not do. Uh, just I said that in GD, just don't overdo it and don't underdo it. Seek a balance. And one more thing that I learned was, sir did say a sentence that किसी को ना बोलने की भी एक कला होती है. So let's learn that art, and just not condemn anyone bluntly. We'll learn that art, and just for example in GTO, if anyone is expressing a certain idea, just don't condemn him that no, this idea won't work. Just give it a try, uh, check does it work or not, and if it doesn't, be ready with another idea as well, and be active. That's it. So these are my takeaways in a very brief way, because I think details have been shared very well by Nikita, and I don't think I need to repeat her point. So these are my takeaways, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, good, Ritik. I think firstly, kudos to you. You came all the way from Nasik, and it was big efforts. And I hope it was worth. And you participated well, and hopefully it will give you a lot of benefits. Now I think
Yes.
Ganesh.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So everything is explained by Nikita. I would explain in brief from my experiences and from the class. So first of all, I would talk about GTO and the foremost and important task of GTO, the first task GD. So for GD, if you don't have the knowledge about the current affair topics, because the first GD is always on current affairs. So if you don't have the knowledge about current affair topics, you won't stand anywhere in the first GD. Now talking about the second GD is always a social topic. So if in that, if you can't express yourself, if you aren't versed and aren't fluent in speaking English, you would stand nowhere in second GD. So in all this, we can see the crux of GD is the knowledge about the current affairs and your power of expression and fluency. Because recently I have seen that many of my friends with mediocre knowledge also has cleared the SSB through their power of expression, through the fluency of their speaking. I have seen people speaking fluently in GD, even if they are mediocre in knowledge. Secondly, I would talk about PGT. So in PGT, I have found two ways you can do what you can do in PGT. First is to be a leader. You have to get ideas sharply and you have to implement them. Even if you don't get idea, the second way is to support the person who is getting the idea. The one person standing in the first person who is giving the ideas, who is leading the PGT, then you have to be the second person to support him. Either tie the rope, either help him putting the balli or fatta, help others to come across. These are the two ways. Either be a leader or help the leader and support him. So these are the two tasks I would talk about GTO. Secondly, I would talk about the screening stage. So in screening, from my experience, I would like to tell you that you have to sell yourself in screening, because screening is a place, especially in direct entries, you would get 250, 300 students. So if you aren't aggressive in screening day, if you're not in fluence in your narration, if you don't have fluency in your narration, in the GD of the screening day, the other candidates won't listen to you in GD if you don't fluently narrate your story. And if you fluently narrate your story, they would be like, he is an intelligent person and we should look over to his points. And you have to speak aggressively in GD. Then and thereafter only they will listen to you, because we have seen that there's always a fish market there. So the crux of screening, from my experiences, you have to be aggressive in GD and you have to make out your point in GD. Thirdly, I would speak on TAT pictures, because in psychological test, TAT has for example, we can say that TAT has an weightage of around 70%. So I have written these points for myself from my first SSB. So regarding TAT, uh, I would say that the first point is you must build a story and not merely describe the picture. The story should have a beginning and an end. The second point is your story should have a good and positive outline. Do not always unnecessarily put negativity in it. However, if you ever get a negative picture, for example, if you get a picture of dead body or a car accident, you shouldn't overlook it or avoid it. Instead, you can give your story a positive ending. Third point is, if you don't find any problem in the picture, there's no problem in the picture, so there's no compulsion for you to include any problem in the story. But don't forget that you should include a positive outcome in it. Fourth is, your story should have a motto in it, and it should be practical, realistic, and mature. I would give an example. For example, if you see a picture like a woman is running, we have seen this picture. A woman is, or a person is running on a track. You can write that she is representing her school or college. But if you say that she is representing India in Olympics, it can become a little impractical. Your story should be not less than 90 words. I have done this mistake that I used to write short stories in that. So your stories should be at least of 90 words and above. The ideal way to write your story is to give a little background information, due to which the scene has occurred, describe the steps taken by your hero, and results or outcome in the last. And this formula I have been following it in the screening stage also. Always remember or learn the story through this way: a little background about the hero, then the main story, and then the conclusion or the outcome. And always in the story at last mention some happy emotions, especially on the screening day, screening stage story. So that's all from my side.
Okay, good, Ganesh. A couple of past experiences also Ganesh has highlighted, and his own approach he is describing now. Who is next?
Me, sir.
Sudarshan. Okay,
Am I
Sudarshan, go
audible?
ahead.
Yes. Okay. Good evening, gentlemen. Uh, Session was conducted that in yes, I was learned so much how to tackle in GTO tasks. First, I will introduce with GTO task. In GTO task, there was the 9 task. Every task is very important. And whenever you in SSB, you have to should uh, listen carefully instructions, because in instruction there was the tricks to how to conduct next task also. So you have to carefully listen the instructions first. Then in GTO, first task is group discussions. In group discussion, I think you should be first grasp the opportunity to talk in group discussions, because this is your first impression in GTO task. Give a logical solutions ideas to contribute in our group discussions. Give a logical ideas means whenever you give these ideas, next discussion should be on that topic is 1 to 2 minutes is on that topic whenever you give the ideas or topic. Okay. Second is group planning exercise. Whenever you written of the group planning exercise, you should be written on aim, resource, problem. Simultaneously you have to divide your group of divisions and how do it work whenever you are going, how will be the task completed. And at the last, you not forget the aims, whatever your aim you have to complete it at the last. Okay. So whenever you do PGT or HGT, contribute to your contribute to your groups. Means your logical ideas also you have to implement. A leader have a influence to group and move a next task towards. Uh, if you then I talk about the psychology test. Test in your story should be 10 to 12 lines, like a format your past tense format, introductions, main part, and happy emotions ending like. But don't give a rewards and say for ourselves. Then we can make a simple whatever the stories we have to seen in the picture. In that we have to told also that the first ideas whatever come in your mind you should be written on that. Second, it's a blank story. A blank story you have to written like that the something is motivations, inspirations, and unforgettable incident in your life also. One thing is remember that whatever you written in your PIQ, your VAT, TAT, SRT is also mentioning same thing with me. मतलब वो मैच होना चाहिए आपके PIQ से और आपके TAT VAT और स्टोरी राइटिंग से. So also in interview, someone sir that day told also you are controller of interview, you have your officer. मतलब आप जो भी बात करते हो उसके हिसाब से next question आपका होगा. If I'll give the example, if you told about the your academic score 10th and 12 why lose, uh, then next question should be on that particular. So अगर आपने बताया कि कोई स्पोर्ट आपका है तो अगर आपने बताया फुटबॉल स्पोर्ट तो फुटबॉल से ही रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आएगा. So इंस्टेड ऑफ मैं ऐसा कहना चाहूँगा एक डायलॉग है शोले मूवी में कि बात ऐसे करो कि मौसी रिश्ता लेके आ जाए. सो इन दैट केस आप जो भी बात करते हो इतना इन्फ्लुएंस और लॉजिकल कन्विंसिंग होना चाहिए कि जीटीओ ऑफिसर वो आपके मतलब इम्प्लीमेंट होना चाहिए उससे. सो that's all from my side. Thank you so much, sir, for giving to me a learn. That I am really grateful for that day. Thank you.
Okay, good Sudarshan. Now, next is Subodh.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, good evening to all. From the experience which I have learned this Sunday, it is a very great experience because in my previous SSBs, I have made a lot of mistakes. In my 17 SSB Bangalore, my experience was very good as well as bad. And the things which I have learned from the Sunday session is very good and it will impact me in a very different way. Because if I talk about the GTO series, so I am not aware of GTO firstly because when I went to my SSB, I got screened in Bangalore. And then later on, I am not much aware of the GTO series. I am aware of the psychology, but I am not aware of the GTO. So I lacked in that. So in PGT, I lack just because I'm not getting any ideas and I'm seeing the structures for the first time. So sir has also pointed out that of mine that you are very lacking behind. So the one thing that I'm lacking behind, the reason is that I'm a docile, little bit I'm docile, and I think that if I tell something and if it gets wrong, so what will happen? So I think about it. So I learned that day that we should have to be active participant. As many of Ritik has also highlighted it, Nikita also highlighted it, Ganesh has also highlighted it, that we should be active participant and we should be leader. And one more thing that I want to give regarding the PGT, that don't condemn the ideas of others. If you condemn the ideas of others, so it will give bad impact. Continue with the ideas, means see that whether if the ideas is working or not. If it is working, so go ahead. If it is not working, then think of the other ideas. But don't lose your guards till then. Then if I talk about the GP, so in GP, the major concern for me for GTO is the PGTN as well as the GP. Means I'm not able to get what to write in GP, how to approach practically. So at that day, sir explained that you have to do very simple things in GP, that कौन करेगा, कैसे करेगा, कितना टाइम लगेगा, कितना डिस्टेंस लगेगा, और वो सब होने के बाद तुम कहाँ जाओगे. Just you have to sort out these things in a very simple manner and you would be able to get the ideas. Because in GP what happens, the GTO briefs you in a very concise way. If you listen to the briefings of GTO, so half of the task will be done at that point of time only. And while briefing, when the GTO briefs the model of the GP, so at that time your focus should be completely on the briefing of the GTO. It will solve almost 70 to 80% of problems. And when the GTO will give you the sheet, description sheet, that the story which we have to read before writing our own solution. So at that time your uh, map should be ready, that what for which activity, what planning you are been doing, and all those things. And now if I talk about the GD group discussion, so in group discussion you should be very much aware. I means I personally feel that a lot of my SSB friends, they told me that in SSB you don't need to have any knowledge and you will get selected. So it is not like that. If you want to become an officer, so you have to be aware of what is happening around you. So until or unless you will not get knowledge, so you will not able to represent yourself. And the second thing is that the power of expression, which initially sir has also highlighted it, the power of expression is very important. If you not get any point in GP, so listen to others carefully, you will definitely get a point which is worth, which is very important. And as sir has also briefed, Sanjay sir has also briefed that if you give one idea, one different idea, and the group move towards your idea, so definitely you will win that game of GD. Because what happens many times, we repeat the points of others, or the similar kind of repetition happens. And if we add certain kind of thing into it very differently, or very different points, so definitely it goes if it goes the discussion in a very other direction, if we give a very point related to it and not unrelated to it. So, and later on, if I talk about the psychology test, so in my psychology test, I carry very preconceived ideas and thoughts. But now I completely focusing on how to write a story in a very practical and in a very positive sense. Many times I wrote negative stories, negative thoughts comes to my stories, but now I'm improving on that. If I talk about the TAT stories, so I think Ganesh has also highlighted it, that if in your story, if there is no problem, so definitely not to write any kind of problem into it. If you are adding some kind of problem, so it will show a very bad impact. And if you are running from a problem, particular situation, that Ganesh has also highlighted, that if a dead body is shown to the picture, that means you are running away from the problem. You are not a risk. You are not, means if any kind of stress put it on your mind, so you will definitely run away of that from that point. And now coming to the means coming to the personal interview, which the mistakes I have made, that not listening to the questions properly. So listens to the question properly, it will give it will the means the interview will go according to your way. If you give, or if you listen the questions carefully, and if you give the answer very specific. Many times what happens, we could not hear the, or we could not listen the questions carefully, and we go in a different directions. So I will give my personal example regarding the IO, that he asked me about, tell me the difference between you and your brother, and I'm started explaining the qualities of me and my brother. So that gives a negative impact on the GT, on the IO. So this mistake you should know, you should not do in your IO, that is interviewing officer. So thank you.
Okay, good Subodh. Who is left now? Suraj?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I
Am
think
I
Suraj.
audible, sir?
Yes, yes. You go ahead. And then in the end, I want to comment on performances that day I saw and some practical things we'll discuss. Okay, Suraj, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. What I experienced personally that day, screening is a bit dicey game because we do hold the preparation of SSB, but the screening is the entry point which we cannot means it is unavoidable. What I say, and it's very important day. Screening is a very important day because I experienced 2 times and I got screen out, so uh, I know the slur and bot of screening, and I know the importance of screening. And to get through the screening day, you have to do a well narration. And that Ganesh said that anyhow you have to jump into the group discussion, whether it is aggressively or politely. You have to enter into the group discussion because that the moment that all the assessors see you thoroughly, because that 5 to 10 minutes we are just discussing the topic, and our power of expressions, our fluency, our communication skills, all all has been showing on that day. So it's very important day. uh, OR can do with practice or without practice, but group discussion and narration is the most important thing of screening phase. Talking about GTO, talking about GTO, so there are 9 tests as we know that in GTO. So what Kumar sir said that whatever we have done, so we should be participate actively, not passively. What other speakers have also highlighted many things. So whether we get any idea about particular task, it doesn't matter, but we should behave as a active participant. Then and then we can show our body posture, uh, our participation capability. Talking about other uh, task or other tests, I would say that whatever we write in our TAT, VAT, SRTs, and all other psych tests, so it is our alter ego. Whatever we write that the for example, we said normally that the hero of the story or the main character of story, so it is no other person, it is you, it is I who am writing the story. So be careful while writing each and every word in your tat vat SRT, because overall it's they will synchronize all the things whatever you have written in your examination, whatever you have written in psych test. So it's your alter ego. This is very important thing, because many a times we have written some preconceived ideas what Subodh has highlighted. So don't get it means it will affect your whole the psych test. So be remember this thing that always write what you have means personally. Talking about interviews, uh, that Subodh said that we should listen each and every question patiently. Then and then we can give the answer. And the last thing I was saying that constructive criticism. Sir highlighted this thing very means very thoroughly, that we should criticize other person, but it should not be bluntly. It should be a constructive, so that our personality should not be hampered because of our abusing words and our behavior. So it will affect our entire interview, entire SSB. So whenever you talking about other people, so criticize him or her constructively. It will show your personality. Thank you so much. This experience I have, these things I have experienced on that day. Thank you so much.
Okay, good Suraj. I think participants' side is over. Now let's come back to the overall that day's performance and my observations uh, and some tips. Before I speak, anyone, anything, or in the end we will take some questions because non-participants may have some questions. Let's come to a very basic point which was highlighted that day also, that if you put two, three, four GTOs of any board together and if you listen to their briefings, the briefings are so stereotyped, so standard. Why? Because all candidates, irrespective of which personality is at GTO, should at least get similar platform. Try and understand as a student that they are making it more natural and common and equal. So briefings are ditto. Instructions are passed like a repetition. So there lies some message that instructions listening is important. Some personality will play if you can identify, very good for you. Every GTU will have a personality behind these all stereotyped instructions in every test. So if you can read and utilize it and add to your advantage, good, but don't miss any instructions. Take one example that day what happened. Group discussion. Topic was announced whether India's stand in present Russia-Ukraine war is correct, wrong, or some modifications required. You will not believe, now participants can recall, when in the end after the group discussion, when it was asked back again, what was the topic given? And we had different answers because ग्रुप डिस्कशन सुनते समय ऑडियंस को when I was audience I could feel that everyone did not receive the instructions correctly or in common pattern. The way it was given, it was not received in that way. And this mistake is the biggest mistake, most common mistake students will do. And it happens. You are not listening carefully. And group discussion topic announcing, reading between the lines, options given, these are very important things. You will get a lot of clues for your good points. So this is one of the biggest thing that they highlighted practically. Let's hear Ritik. How was that GD topic which was announced but received differently from others? All participants were sent something on a different line. When they were asked, okay, what was the topic? Anyone?
Yes, sir. I'll do it. So, when the topic was disclosed by Sir for the group discussion, everyone received it in a different way. I myself received in an incomplete way. So, in the end, when the topic was asked that what was the topic for GD, I only said the half topic, which was India's role amidst Russia and Ukraine war. But the remaining half was that whether India's stand is correct or is it wrong, or any modifications are required. So I missed that, and even though I had it in the back of my mind, but I couldn't express it. So yes, my attention, my reasoning ability, and my power of expression were compromised at that moment, and many participants were kind of similar in the context with me. So I think that's it, sir.
So this is one of the biggest learning, that listen instructions, topic given, or anything throughout SSB must be attentive, because you will never get a chance to recheck what exactly was expected, what was told, because there is no recording or there is no platform where you will sit and discuss, and that is how you miss the game. Imagine if you have received the instructions in your own way, which is really deviating from the original direction, and you're performing based on that reception, that performance will never be correct completely. And see the impact on GTO's mind or interviewer's mind. If you don't listen question in interview correctly and you are answering assuming something else, imagine the impact on interviewing officer's mind. He will realize he's not understanding, his grasping power is not okay, he's not attentive, reasoning ability is a problem, because a lot of things will, interpretations will go wrong. So that is point number one. Second, be truthful or be natural. This is the message which we often hear. So what does it mean? Let's take it with example. Suppose before the PGT, HGT command task, there are so many rules announced. Color rule, distance rule, this ground rule. And if you are truthful, what does it mean? By mistake, if you do something violation and the corrective measure is come back, show that concern that you violated something, show that body language and intention that sorry, I will go back and do that thing. So this message has to come back to the GTO because he's observing. If in your interview based on PAQ interview is flowing and you are now bluffing, it will be caught. The biggest mistake a candidate will do, assuming that suppose you are an engineering graduate and in your own, suppose engineering degree is also typical, some kind of um, thing which you assume that probably interviewing officer may not be knowing anything or a subject. Suppose you are a computer software engineer and he's asking some question about hacking or some kind of virus or something, a scientific or a technical word or something he has quoted. Never assume that he may not be knowing it. That mistake a lot of students do. So be truthful. If you know, okay. If you don't know, don't beat around the bush. Don't confuse the interviewing officer. In any way, you will be loser. And the worst thing, if you have to do is lie. Don't do that. Okay. So be truthful on ground, in theory, everywhere. So let's make a habit of little bit manipulation is okay. Manipulation, how much you can do? Little bit. And that manipulation, if someone is not clear, we will discuss one to one. Minor manipulation you can do. Suppose some marks less. Suppose you are weak in physical things. So you can tell, sir, I am working on it. I started running or I am doing some endurance test. This is manipulation. To some extent is okay. Next point which I had now noted down. Can you smartly contribute? Firstly, be active, which students have already said. Can you be active and smart? Can you change the flow? Can you make an impact? I'll give you one example. During group discussion, if everyone is discussing something and you come up with a point and the change of that flow of discussion changes, and now whatever point you gave, next 2 3 minutes that point is discussed. This is a classic thing in your favor because you as a leader change the direction of something. It must have been quality, then otherwise it will not be received. So it has to be worth, relevant, and quality point. So this is applicable almost in GTO's physical tests, where in some point, at some point, if you are stuck as a group, can you just come out of that box and look around? Is there any other option? And if something comes up and you give that clue or some point, you're done it. So always have that possibility in mind. Can I change the flow? Can I get the group out of that stuck position? You have to understand that. So that activeness coupled with smartness will help you. What many of you said, don't offend, don't condemn, very important. A true person, a genuine leader, a balanced person will not offend anyone because, especially in GTO test, you should be a team working towards one goal, and you are contributing. And that is why constructive and assertive, this has to be balanced. So, if you are a good team player, even if the point is not good, whether it is in PGT, HGT, command task, group discussion, GP, anywhere, you will not discourage the colleague. You will not straightway reject the point. You will receive it. If it is worthless, you will just ignore it. You will not mention it. Oh, this is not going to work. This kind of language is to be avoided when we say don't be offensive or don't condemn. This means that. to the extent that their point was discussed. If GTO is observing from outside and you are not comfortable in group, or group is moving and you are left out, so what you may react, you may do something which is little visible from outside. किसी को कोनी मार दी, किसी को धक्का कैसे कर दिया, छोटा सा, थोड़ा सा कर दिया, वो दिख रहा है बाहर से, and that is the worst point, because it will go against your personality and that will be noted. Everything is noted. Don't assume that something will go unnoticed. Always think on that positive error side. Everything is noticed. Even if by mistake GTO has missed it, but you as a candidate, you as a student there, must assume for the positiveness कि मेरा कोई भी गलती गलती से भी ना हो when you conduct yourself there. Okay, now briefly about each test. First take psychological test. WAT, some points already spoken. Stimulus reaction, be little innovative, express your knowledge, express your qualities. Don't say anything which is known to the world because you are missing opportunity. TAT, make relevant stories, be thinking type, be in that box of that picture. Whatever is seen, that should be visible in your story. Give some positive ending like in a Hindi movie. Okay. SRT, very, very practical SRTs are there. Apply yourself, show your reasoning ability, show your maturity, show your balanced character. And nothing is very, very rocket science type. Very simple. You make it complicated by thinking too much. Just give natural reactions. This is exactly when we say be natural, this is that. ज़्यादा उसको कॉम्प्लिकेट मत करो, जो फर्स्ट गट फीलिंग आ रही है उसको मान लो. ओके. एसडीटी, एसडीटी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Write it, show it to some mentor. You can share with me on WhatsApp, we will discuss it, because that is, every word is important. Psychologist will have a reference point, that is your past, that is your wisdom you feel about it. And when you perform in these SRTs, WAT and TAT, comparison should not go mismatching type. So that is the relevance of SDT. Be little particular, make up your mind what you are going to write, practice it, reproduce there. You have got time. Now coming to GTO's 9 tests. Group discussion, already one point I highlighted. Listen topics carefully, conduct yourself well, be active, give quality points, even if it is quantity wise less, but give quality. Preference number one, quality, quantity is secondary. And that is how we keep hearing, अरे उसने तो 2 ही बार बोला था कैसे हो गया. Especially on screening day, you see एक आध बार मुंह खोला but ऐसा point दिया, done, job is over. Important aspect is quality, because you are showing your IQ, you are showing your balanced personality, you are showing your knowledge. It is always to be understood. Every word has got some meaning, so be quality oriented. GP, well explained by some of the students. Just understand that it is not a typical military war exercise. It is a simple student level, a very, very young age, teenage types. Uh, Kids are involved and they are solving some issue. So understand where are you, what is required to be done, how you will do, resources, time management, distances involved, and where you will be going thereafter. Just make it simple. And writing, just do practice little bit because you will be writing against the time. And when speaking, be very, very logical, crisp, clear. Clarity of thought is very important. Now coming to lecturate, do enough practices. PGT, HGT, and um, the command task, everywhere there are few things. Now let's discuss it in little uh, depth way. उस दिन मैंने देखा टाइंग नॉट, कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं, घर में करो ना, रस्सी घर में नहीं है क्या, थोड़ा नॉट के करो। प्लैंक्स का वजन होता है, डोंट बी अनकंफर्टेबल देयर, थोड़ा सा वो देखो कि कैसे किसी को चोट नहीं लगनी चाहिए। अ वेरी peculiar थिंग आई ऑब्जर्व, नाउ ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड, बाहर से हम देखते हैं, विच वॉज सरप्राइजिंग टू मी, कि ये एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं था कि सम ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आर फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड लुक्स लाइक ये ग्रुप में है ही नहीं। यू मस्ट फील कि मैं बाहर से कैसे दिख रहा हूं, एम आई साउंडिंग लाइक अ मेंबर ऑफ अ टीम। ये एक क्वेश्चन आपको पूरा काम आसान कर देगा। डोंट लुक इन टू द आईज ऑफ जीटीओ थ्रू आउट एंटायर जीटीओ सीरीज, जस्ट बी विथ योर ग्रुप एंड बी एक्टिव वाला कैसे अप्लाई करना है उसको थोड़ा सा मेंटल ट्यूनिंग कर लो, कि कुछ ना कुछ तो करो, कुछ बोलो, कुछ एक्शंस करो। आप पैसिव रह के रिकमेंड नहीं होने वाले, आपको एक्टिव ही रहना पड़ेगा। तो एक्टिव कैन बी बाय स्पीकिंग, बाय एक्शंस, सब सब करो, कुछ ना कुछ करते रहो। डोंट बी पैसिव मेंबर इन द कॉर्नर, देन यू मे डू मिस्टेक्स। जीटीओ में शो यू दैट यू आर गोइंग रॉन्ग, जानबूझ के। ओके, कैसे करोगे? तो जस्ट रिकवर योर कॉन्फिडेंस कि शायद मैं सही भी हो सकता हूँ, एंड कि उसके लिए आपका कॉन्फिडेंस नीचे नहीं आने देना है। आप बोलो, आपका गलत भी हो जाए कोई बात नहीं, एटलीस्ट यू आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग। सो डूइंग ऑब्स्टेकल्स जो भी है, अगर आपने पहली बार भी देखा है या बहुत ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल नहीं हो, उतनी प्रैक्टिस नहीं है, डजेंट मैटर, थोड़ा यूट्यूब पे वीडियो देख लो, उससे थोड़ा सा ओरिएंटेशन हो जाएगा, इमेजिन कर पाओगी। एंड थोड़ा सा नॉट वॉट बांधना, प्लैंक को प्लेस करना, थोड़ा सा जंप करना, इंडिविजुअल ऑब्स्टेकल्स की भी, नजदीक में कहीं पुलिस ग्राउंड है, मिलिट्री ग्राउंड है या किसी स्कूल का ग्राउंड है, जाके कुछ उछल कूद करो, आसान हो जाएगा। ओके, कहीं पे रस्सी है तो रस्सी को पकड़ के कैसे चढ़ते हैं, या किसी से पूछो, देर इज अ ट्रिक टू इट, इट इज नॉट मसल पावर, इट इज ट्रिक। रस्सी चढ़ने का मसल पावर से नहीं होता है, वो ट्रिक से होता है, वो थोड़ा सा किसी से सीख लो। या स्लिथरिंग कैसे करते हैं, जब वो कमांडो स्विंग है, टार्जन स्विंग है, जो आप स्लिथरिंग करके आते हो तो उंगलियां छिल जाती है, हाथ छिल जाता है, तो उसमें ट्रिक है, उसको थोड़ा करो, मौका मिलता है ठीक है, नहीं मिलता है डजेंट मैटर। मोर इम्पोर्टेंट इज व्हेन यू लैंड इन एसएसबी, आपको टिपिकल चैलेंज है कि मेरे लिए ये फेवरेबल फोरम नहीं है। व्हेन इट इज कमिंग टू दोस टेस्ट, डोंट एटलीस्ट विजिबली शो इट, शो योर बॉडी लैंग्वेज, पॉजिटिव बॉडी लैंग्वेज, कॉन्फिडेंट बॉडी लैंग्वेज, कर लूंगा, कुछ तो करूंगा ही मैं। आपको क्या लगता है, लड़ाई शुरू होगी और पहली गोली फायर होगी तो आपके पास सब कुछ है जीतने के लिए? नो, even best of the equipped persons will have fear of some people losing here and there. If you are a commander there, even if something is damaged, materialistic damage, I'm telling, or you're one of the soldier gets injured, these are all worries which will play on your mind. So that is extreme I'm talking, and still you have to conduct in a confident way कि कुछ नहीं हुआ है। तो ये एक झलक है ना वहां पे, आप कंफर्टेबल नहीं है कोई बात नहीं, इनफैक्ट आप कर रहे हो, जीटीओ विल नोटिस, नहीं हो पाएगा बट कुछ तो करना ही है। सेकेंडली, फॉर दो स्टूडेंट्स हु आर ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट, जिनको सब कुछ पता है, कंट्रोल योर हॉर्सेस, जस्ट बी बैलेंस्ड, try and don't use those words which are very very common in coaching that they highlighted there, ki like uh, human resource or something, these words were used, or cantilever, या थोड़ा थोड़ा उसको प्रैक्टिकल टच दो, जरूरत पड़ी तो हिंदी इंग्लिश मिक्स करो और थोड़ा नेचुरल करो, इन्वॉल्व रहो। हर समय कुछ कर रहे हो ऐसा बाहर से लगना चाहिए, एंड वो नेचुरल थोड़ा सा, डोंट बी सो ऑकवर्ड कि सिर्फ दिखाने के लिए कर रहे हो। थोड़ा इसका मेंटल ट्यूनिंग करोगे तो हो जाएगा। जस्ट ट्राई एंड फील अबाउट इट, but the bottom line is you should look from the outside that you are part of team and you are contributing, whether by saying idea or by actions. Just be active. Okay, now coming to interview, your piq you have given every word whatever you written, you must find out probable questions, whether it is place of residence, population, whether it is your academic qualification and that journey, but whether it is about your family background, whether it is about your achievements, whether it is about your past SSB attempts, whether it is about your extracurricular things, whether it is about your weight, height, everything you have provided. So you just keep thinking कि इस पे क्या क्या पूछ सकते हैं. And typically that day it was highlighted by Sir that a good candidate controls the interview, manipulates the interview. He takes and channelizes the interview into his or her strong points. Try and understand this. You can do it. And that is the best thing to happen with you. कि आप आंसर में ही ऐसा कुछ बोलो और फील करो कि अब इसमें कुछ भी पूछ लेंगे तो मुझे कंफर्टेबल हो. दैट इज योर स्ट्रॉन्ग जोन. आपको पता होना चाहिए. लेकिन इसका उल्टा बहुत होता है कि कुछ ऐसा बोल दोगे जिसमें और फंसोगे. तो दोनों चीजें समझनी है. गलती से भी ऐसे कुछ शब्द, ऐसी कुछ घटना, ऐसा कुछ मत बोलो जिससे अगला क्वेश्चन विल बी मोर सिवियर प्रॉब्लम. टेक हिम इनटू योर कंफर्ट जोन, and it is possible. I'm telling you. In fact, I feel it is 100% possible if you just introspect and practice for it or think for it at least. In interview, there is another very important aspect is, for anything, don't blame your parents, your teachers, your surrounding. If you are employed, your employers. This is the worst thing to happen. When it was highlighted by students, don't condemn. This condemnation applied here also. Always take the blame on yourself. This is a true leader quality. Throughout interview, if there is any problem, accept it gracefully. Whether it is something which you spoke and you are not confident, you can easily say, Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. It is easy. This will go in your favor. Okay. And now coming to the last point from my side is, this is SSB. If you get recommended, not recommended, that is on based on the performance on that given point of time. If you get recommended, good. If you don't get recommended, does it signify that you are a failure in life? No. Does it indicate that you are finished? No. It is just those performances did not fall in line. You can come back, correct, improve. That is the only thing. Okay. Now, any point, because we have taken much time now. Any point from anyone, any suggestion, any feedback, or any comment?
Sir,
Yes.
so I want to ask about PPDT. So when we write our story, and at the time of discussion, if any point we have noticed when any candidate is discussing, so means that point we think that we missed in our story, but means it is it okay to switch on that point. And one more thing is, if we means if we remember any point or related point when any candidate is discussing, so means uh, but that point we didn't written on our story. So is it okay to discuss on that?
Okay, Renuka. Let's clear couple of doubts. These are doubts which many students have. PPDT, there are stages. OIR is over. Now coming to PPDT, first is a picture is shown, you write a story. That is one subset. Next is narration. Narration is of what? What you observed and what you wrote. And the third segment in this is group discussion. A very important aspect is moment you are finished with your narration, that phase is over. Your story is over. During group discussion, you may be at any number serial. You are listening all stories with open mind so that you use those points in group discussion stage. And the moment at whatever serial you have finished your narration, you are supposed to just keep it aside. And now during the group discussion stage, you must be wise enough to where the group is standing. Your story may or may not be taken forward. Just be candid about it. Be very, very rational. Ki my story has gone wrong. It's okay. Now you are a team player at group discussion stage. Now it is the group story which is expected. And even if by listening to other stories, you also get convinced, अरे ये तो था उसमें. Be very, very honest enough to hold on, contribute positively. To the extent I will say, when you after listening all stories you get convinced कि ये point भी उसमें था and it is supporting someone else story, you should be giving it even if that person might have missed it. To that extent you can be positively contributing for common story where maximum students are candidates are agreeing. So let's make it very, very compartmentalized: story writing, narration, and group discussion. Group discussion is a different phase, and treat it like that. You will be passing it easily. Renuka, I hope it answers you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Got it.
Anyone?
So I want to ask one question.
Yes.
That in SD, do we need to have, I mean, write the negative points about us? Like, is it necessary to write the weaknesses in
Uh,
SD?
this is where that manipulative angle will come. See, every candidate is going there to pass and get recommended. Nobody is just going there कि मुझे fail होना है. So manipulation is, let's understand here. Suppose the weakest thing one can have can be something like every time fighting with one of the family member. It happens in teenage कि daily पापा या मम्मी से argument कर रहे हैं. And it is just that phase, couple of months or maybe a year, and it is happening. And even when you are leaving for SSB, that day also you had some arguments and reasons you also don't know. This happens, which I keep observing nowadays from the parents' feedback, that a lot of kids are not comfortable in longer communication with parents because of maybe many reasons. And we don't want to fix that blame anywhere. But now, with this background, Ganesh is saying SWOT analysis. Yes, this is exactly that. So, when you go there in SSB, what happens? You will not go there and declare that every day I'm fighting with my father, mother. whatever, or a brother or sister, or if you are already employed doing part-time job with your employer. So here that manipulation is important. Uh, how exactly this weakness can be given there? I'm trying to assist my parents in family's goal, whereas you're probably not even trying, you are just feeling it, but there you are just raising the level that, and in fact it is true also, कि you are one day you want to give back some happiness to your parents, and you want to bring some glory to your family's prestige and status, materialistically, mentally, in all respects, but which is not happening presently. Weakness is not everything fine, but you are saying there in a mild way that I am improving things. Come to another example, English, or communication, or physical fitness, or getting up early. There you will not declare that way. What you will say, you will highlight कि I want to work upon this. I want to work upon my physical fitness, which you are thinking but not yet started. But manipulation can be by highlighting my weakness is I want to improve upon my endurance. Indirectly you are saying that you are weak there. I want to improve my communication skill. You are highlighting your weakness actually indirectly, that I am not good in communication or I am not satisfied in my communication standards. Interpersonal relations, some students write it, I want to improve it. That means they are not really having happy day with friends or parents or whatever. So their interpersonal relationship they want to improve. So Samrin, it is this way you are highlighting your weakness, and one or two weakness highlighting is okay in a mild way and indirectly. And that indirect way is I am working upon it. That wish list, I want to improve my this, that. Okay, Samrin, I hope it clarifies little bit.
Yes, sir.
In any way, suppose someone is little 5 kg overweight. So you can easily show this weakness. In fact, declare it. I am working and I want to improve on my this physical fitness. I want to reduce. This is a simple and straight example. Someone's English is not good. Declare it. Someone's confidence is not good. Declare it in a simple way. I want to improve on my confidence. I'm generally having a stage fear. Nothing wrong in it. No problem. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hello, sir. Omkar
Yes.
here.
Yes, Omkar.
Sir, is there any planning of GTO session hereafter
Yes. Yes.
due
See.
to my exam?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very periodically. I think another 1 or 2 months we will again arrange it. And sir is already giving commitment. Ki anytime you call, I'll be there. Only thing he has got some reservations about recording and all those things. So that we should understand because he might have had some bad experiences or maybe he doesn't like it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's always ready. Even you can meet him one to one. Okay. Shall we end here?
Yes, sir.
I hope, let me check. Lakhan, I hope it was giving some benefit to you today.
Yes, sir. It's very much, sir.
Okay. Saurabh?
I also come to notice ki what the mistake I done.
यस, दिस इज एग्जैक्टली आई मिस दिस पॉइंट। जब इन लोगों ने, खास करके रिपीटर्स ने, जब अपने कुछ पॉइंट्स कंपेयर कर रहे हैं लोग, आई एम टेलिंग यू दिस इज द बिगेस्ट गेन बाय नरेटिंग अपना ओन एक्सपीरियंस। एंड कुछ लोग जो सुन रहे हैं, या आई विल पुट इट अप ऑन दैट प्लेटफॉर्म, कंपेयर करोगे, दिस इज एग्जैक्टली रिक्वायर्ड। आई एम टेलिंग यू माई SSB, I had not much of time for practicing anything, and I was little away also. I did more here, mental tuning. And this is exactly we did today. Try and understand this. If you can do this, what Lakhan has said just now, he's thinking कि मैं कहाँ 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 पे गड़बड़ कर रहा था या कहाँ improve करना है, how exactly I will apply myself. This mental tuning was the aim of today's exercise, and that is the biggest takeaway. Do it even if you are fresher. Think कि ये सब टेस्ट से मैं क्या करूंगा वहां जाके, तो ये सब will help you. I'm telling you, you are prepared to operate there. When you are thinking too much beforehand, you are ready. आपने सब सोच रखा है. Your subtle mind, that subconscious mind will help you there. अरे ये तो सोच रखा था, ऐसे करना है, करेंगे. In every test, for every test you do it, mental rehearsal. इस टेस्ट में मुझे कैसा एक्सपेक्टेड है एंड मैं ऐसे ऐसे करूंगा, करूंगी, whatever. Okay, good. That point Lakhan has brought out. Okay, Saurabh, all well?
Yes, sir. Lots of things I know today.
Okay,
And learn.
so yes, we will end here. Have a good time, do well, have confidence, be positive, and just evolve every day. Every day there should be at least some uh, progress in your life. Okay, have a good time. Bye. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai